Okay, we're getting close. Only a couple more chapters to go. Well, that was cute. I'm a big fan of snuggling together on the couch and falling asleep.
I know he was over here the other night, and went home very, very late.
For the record, nothing happened. We just dozed off for a while.
Oh, I'm sure.
This face. She gave me a devious grin.
Lara and I definitely would have been aware if anything else happened.
Vaughn?
What? I told you we're psychics. It's not like we have to try to spy on each other.
Well, I guess that was true. There had been times I'd been aware of some of the goings-on in their place, whether or not I wanted to.
I'm glad the two of you seem to be working things out.
Me too. Me three. Okay, and then this... Oh, this is our last choice. And it's the same one we picked in the passionate ending, so... It's full steam ahead from here. Whatever happens, happens. Hey, don't act like I'm being unreasonable for being surprised by all this. You people keep throwing all this stuff at me and expecting me to just not react.
Come on, stop fighting. If we're making this much noise, they'll hear us and hide long before we reach them.
Given the size of this place, finding them while on foot didn't seem likely. Yeah. Okay, and we're teleporting. Okay, so now we have to get out of here. You're not teleporting me, then coming back for everyone else. That's ridiculous.
Damn it, Ari, we don't have time for this. Let her try. Trying is unacceptable. What if she fails? I cannot allow it. I'll teleport everyone at once. There are 8 of us, Ari! Your limit is... Then move closer together so it's easier. As you said, we don't have time for this.
Caleb practically threw the unconscious Rook on the ground in front of Ari, while Vaughn made a much more elegant use of her telekinesis to bring the other 2 semi-conscious captives closer. I knelt next to Trent and set a reassuring hand on him. Don't worry. It'll be fine. We're about to teleport. I can't say it's pleasant, but just try to hang in there. He groaned softly in response. As soon as Ari was in reach, I grabbed onto his sleeve, still touching Trent. Caleb and Vaughn reached for the other 2, and as soon as we were all connected, Ari got us the hell out of there. At first, it felt like every other teleportation. Everything twisting, stretching, slowing down, and speeding up at the same time. But something was off. Sweet ending is not code for we all smash into a wall ending, right? It felt like it was taking longer than usual. I usually wasn't at all conscious of the process. It was so instantaneous. But this time I was aware of the nothingness, of the cold, of the feeling of everything rushing past in slow motion. I tried to look around, but it's not like there was anything to see. I couldn't even feel my body. Ari? Something's wrong. Something's definitely wrong. Panicking, I wasn't sure what I should do. I reached out tentatively, searching for any other consciousness than my own. Somewhere nearby, I sensed Ari. I could sense distress, anxiety, pain. I have to reach him somehow. I struggled to get to him, though I couldn't feel my body, and wasn't even sure we were physically anywhere at that time. I reached him somehow. In my mind, I touched him. He touched me. I could sense him, his sigh. Heavy. It was too heavy. There were too many people. He was struggling to complete the jump and get us out of the ruins. I didn't know how to help, but if I didn't, we weren't going to make it. I could sense his cage, the one around us, the one he was trying to get us to. They were so far apart. Too far for the weight he was carrying. I tried to adjust, to synchronize my sigh with his, to wrap it around him, around the others, to help ease the burden on his mind and body. I didn't want to mimic his skill so much as enhance it, to twist my energy into his so his was stronger. I don't know what happened next. For one moment, Ari and I entwined completely. Not just our sigh. Every thought, every breath, every molecule. Damn, that's hot. It lasted one beautiful and terrifying moment. Good job, girl. Proud of you. Then I was myself again, and everyone was stumbling out onto the street. Well, that was a lot more nerve-wracking. The world was spinning, and I almost went down, but I whirled around and caught Ari as he collapsed to the ground instead. Aw. My legs buckled, but I was able to sort of lower us to the pavement in a slightly less painful way. Everyone else was scrambling around, checking each other, checking the captives and Trent. The King's Guard was there, and Mara was demanding to know what happened and why we all evacuated. I ignored them all. Ari! Ari!
Morgan, what you did, that should not have been possible.
I don't care about that right now! Are you okay?
I misjudged the level of mental exhaustion from my previous search and the burden of carrying so many at once. I was almost unable to make it.
I couldn't explain what I did, much less how it had helped. Well, we'll get Dr. Sasaki on it. I bent over him, tears flowing even though it looked like we were both going to be alright. He reached up and gently touched my face.
Why are you crying this time?
Shut up! Don't you dare scare me like that! Idiot! Stupid idiot! He let out a soft laugh.
I apologize for frightening you this time.
I'm glad you're okay.
As am I. I was worried about you. Would have been nice if either of you worried about anyone else on this mission. What the hell happened?
Ari sat up with a groan, one hand to his head.
Morgan somehow bolstered my psi to give me enough strength to teleport everyone. Bolstered your psi? You know that isn't a thing, right? It appears it is now.
How interesting. We're already learning about new powers our girl could have. I glanced down at my hands thoughtfully. I had done that. I had helped get everyone to safety. Wait! Gina!
We gave one of the other teams her last known location, but who even knows? We'll have to wait until that section powers down before we send anyone else back in there.
Is that... okay, no.
Assuming that section still exists when it powers down. Last time some dumbass activated part of the ruins, the entire section collapsed in on itself. For now, let's get these bastards back to the tower. I suspect we'll have a lot of questions for them. Agreed.
Caleb got Ari to his feet, and though I was still feeling a little woozy myself, I settled up against him, supporting the other side. The four of us carefully headed to the transport where they were loading up everyone else. Though it seemed like Gina got away, I hoped this meant we could put an end to the situation. And when we finally could resume my training again, the first thing I would do was make Ari teach me how to teleport properly. Yeah, you don't want to keep working on bolstering psi? That'd be pretty cool. I switched the screen off and stood, stretching. Regardless of what was going on behind the scenes, the public would benefit from ending the Sierra conflict. If any lives were saved, even by smoke and mirrors, that was a good thing. I checked the time, noting it was about time for me to head down. Speaking of life moving on... Oh, really? I gotta say goodbye to you? Barf. I already prefer the passionate ending to this. Blech.
I guess this is goodbye. Again.
It is.
Would it... I mean... Is it okay if I try to keep in touch? From time to time?
If you can pull yourself away from work and remember to write, I wouldn't mind hearing from you occasionally. He gave me a quick hug. It was awkward, sheepish, and we were both aware it would be the last one we ever shared.
You too. I mean, I'd be happy to know you're doing okay here.
I'll try to remember.
Our trip didn't quite go as planned, I guess. It's sad to be leaving so soon.
Yeah.
I can't believe Gina was a part of something like that. Doing illegal research, trying to run off with it. Part of me still thinks she must have had some kind of reason for it all.
Well, when we find her, I'm sure we'll ask. Maybe in another route.
I guess I should just be grateful our research wasn't confiscated. Not quite sure how everyone will feel about shifting to a new facility, though. Having Endgame looking over our shoulder is a little unpleasant, but I guess it's better than losing funding.
I agree. Trent remembered some of what happened, not all. I was still a little disconcerted by the idea of Endgame altering memories. Not just the idea they could do it, but the idea they did so liberally when convenient. But I understood that Trent had seen a lot. He knew the truth of the situation Endgame was trying to cover up. It was safer to just remove that knowledge. As far as he and Matt were aware, Gina's only crime was the illicit research and an attempt to hack our system. They didn't know she had a connection to the bombing. And Trent recalled nothing about having been captured by her and the others. Or his brief stint as a low-level Esper. We were lucky that injection hadn't caused any major burnout symptoms in him. He had recovered from it fine with Dr. Sasky's help. And it was during that recovery that Vaughn's sister, one of the Moirai, had restructured his memories. Sasky learned the drug Trent had been given was a serum with reprogrammed nanites. It could temporarily function as the nuclei clusters in the brain that produce psi waves and espers. But the nanites only worked as long as they had some sort of psi fingerprint programmed into them ahead of time. That was why they'd been seeking records of high-level F-class psi waves. The F-class waves didn't rely on nanoresonance, and high-ranking espers would produce a more powerful serum than the low-level psi fingerprints the lab had access to. Fortunately, the nanites in Trent's serum had used some of those low-level psi waves as a basis, and he hadn't tried to use psi all that much before the nanites could be deactivated. He would be fine, and that research would be buried deep in the Endgame archives. I hope that things up on Syrah will quiet down with peace talks on the horizon.
Speaking of that, I heard a little rumor that you might be overseeing said talks.
I have no idea how you heard that, but it's only a possibility right now. And even if my team oversees the talks, it doesn't mean we'll be doing much more than making sure the two sides don't start shooting each other. There are other teams that lead the negotiations. We'll be present, but not involved in anything interesting.
Still, it's a big job. It's an exciting thing to be a part of.
It is.
Are you happy here, Morgan? Really?
I am. I really am. Oh, hello, Matt.
Transport is here, Trent.
He popped his head back in for a split second, then vanished again without so much as looking my way.
I guess that's me.
He nodded awkwardly and started away. He glanced back once. I waved and smiled, and watched him go. A message notification popped up, and I realized I had an incoming call. Hi, Mom. Mom! Okay. Mom saved the ending. I'm like, bleh. Bye, Trent. See you never, hopefully. Yay, a call from Mom. Hooray.
Morgan! You were supposed to call me this morning!
Sorry, I had something to take care of. I headed back to the elevator as she chattered in my ear. It was so good to hear her voice again.
And your father and I are trying to get visitors' passports, but with the recent attack, security is tighter than ever. Can't you do something about it, Morgan? We want to see you!
I'll look into it, but I don't know how much power I'll have when it comes to swaying the immigration department.
What? That can't be right! You're the queen!
A queen rank, not the queen, Mum. I'm just an agent, regardless of rank. She heaved a sigh of extreme motherly disappointment. I'll see what I can do, I promise.
So what are you up to today? I almost thought you might be working at this hour.
I have the day off, and I have a date.
A date?
She practically squealed in glee. We need Mom to rank the guys. Come on.
Is it with that ARI fellow? I looked up his public record.
Mom, that is an invasion of privacy.
What? It's a public record. Too bad there aren't any photos. Is he handsome?
Darn, I was hoping there was photos. Yes, he is. Very much so.
I hope we get to meet him when we visit.
I'm sure you will.
In that case, maybe I should let you go get ready for your hot date. Morgan, please take care of yourself.
You too, Mum.
We love you, and we miss you.
Same.
And we wanted to tell you we're very, very proud of you.
Thank you. The message cut off and I leaned against the back of the lift. Things were stabilizing for me as well. A little. Everything was moving forward. Training. Other things. The tribunal would be starting soon and I had to be there. Several had pleaded guilty and others made deals revealing several more moles in the organization, hoping to get a lighter sentence. A few were holding out in hopes of being acquitted, I suppose. My presence was required there nonetheless. I wasn't looking forward to that, but I was glad the agents were being held accountable. They had been, at least in part, responsible for the deaths of many citizens. For the Endgame agents who had betrayed the group, it was the antithesis of what they were supposed to be doing. It was heartbreaking and infuriating. They didn't betray just Endgame, but the citizens of Braceil as well. But I wouldn't think about those things right now. After all, like I told Mum, today I had a date. And I wanted to think of happier things for a change. It would have been nice if the date was not just in the lounge, but Ari and I both had been diagnosed with psi fatigue after the other day. Mine was mild. His was less so. We were trying to stay close to home, as it were. At least we'd chosen a lounge on the other side of the tower, not the one close to where we actually lived. I mean, it looked the same, but it was less likely Vanessa would barge in and start teasing us, so there was that. Besides, we were still trying to take things slow-ish. A night on the town might still be beyond Ari for the time being. When I arrived, I spotted him immediately, of course. There weren't that many people, and as always, he stood out. Hey, you. He stood when he saw me, smiling as I joined him.
I take it everything went well.
I saw them off properly.
I'm glad. And I'm looking forward to spending time together, just the two of us. No work. Or interruptions for a while.
Me too. I'm struggling to imagine any of you as children, but I can definitely see Caleb as that level of troublemaker. Especially if Jack was involved.
At that time, there was so much I still was unaware of. They took full advantage of it when it suited them.
Aww. It sounds like it. Though I do worry about you not realizing teleporting Jack into the girls' shower room would be a problem. Jack! Oh, it's adorable.
I was incredibly sheltered as a child.
Sheltered is an understatement. You grew up in a lab.
In fairness, it was for everyone's safety.
It still sounds lonely.
They were not cruel to me. I believe they did what they could to nurture a child they were, by all accounts, quite terrified of.
I'm sure they did. I reached across the table for his hand. It still makes me a little sad, though. Ari turned our hands over, running his thumb in gentle circles over my knuckles.
You don't have to be sad for me. I don't view my childhood as traumatic or lonely. Things occurred as they did out of necessity. That's all. I simply wish I had more interesting things to talk about. I fear there isn't much more to me than my life as an agent here.
Now that, I know, is not true. Besides, if there are a lot of things you haven't experienced, it just means we'll be able to experience them together.
I suppose that is true.
Of course it is. One of these days you'll realize I'm right about most things.
Sometimes I fear you're beginning to sound distressingly like Vanessa.
We were silent for a while, just enjoying each other's company. At some point we found ourselves standing at the long window looking out over the city.
The first time you saw this vista, you were rather distraught. Do you remember that?
How could I forget? That was a distressing day.
Morgan, do you still regret that you had to come here?
No. Well, I'm still sad sometimes. Not that I'm here, but that things changed in a way I wasn't expecting.
Do you wish you could have gone with Trent?
No. No. I would rather be here. With you. I laced my fingers through his and leaned my head against his shoulder. After a moment, his cheek came to rest on the top of my head.
It's a useless thing to fret about something that could have been. But sometimes I think if you hadn't come here, perhaps you and Trent would have been able to mend things. It's curious that such things preoccupy my thoughts when before I wouldn't have entertained them at all.
You're right. It's useless to fret about that. We can never know what might have been. I pulled away and looked up at him with a smile. What I'm certain about is that I'm glad I met you. I'm glad things turned out this way.
I, too, am glad.
He leaned down and kissed me carefully. I was a little surprised, as we weren't alone, but he was getting braver. I didn't push my luck, though. This time. I pulled away and smiled up at him, reaching to push a strand of hair out of his face. We stood for a long, long time, watching night deepen over Brace Hill. And when Ari finally walked me home, we kissed again in front of my door. And again, just inside my flat, as I fell asleep nestled into his side on the sofa. I couldn't help but think that maybe the strangest thing that had happened since I came here was falling in love with him. It had been a while, but as I finally drifted off, I found myself looking forward to seeing what the future would hold. Yay! Alright, we did it! I think I can count that as a sweet ending, yes? Let's see. Let's double checky quick. Yes, there we go. We did it! Alright, excellent. There was definitely scenes in the sweet ending that I really liked. It was sweet. It was very sweet. Ari is a sweet goober, and I love him. I adore him to bits. Between the two, I do prefer the passionate ending, personally. But it was interesting seeing how different things were with this kind of Morgan, who was more emotional and not so analytical and stuff, and was a little more on opposing sides with Ari. Things didn't flow so smoothly between them in the beginning, but they found their way, and it was really cute, and they're slowly, getting closer and closer, which is adorable. I still really, really liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed the sweet ending as well. Now I need to go and do the heartbreaking thing, which is the bad ending. So, wish me luck with that, guys. And then after that, well, we'll talk about that then, won't we? For now, I hope you guys enjoyed Ari's sweet ending. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, I will see you later.